So this tutorial is going to show you how to make this really cute kind of macrame style backpack. I am going to be using this as a diaper bag. As you can see, it's pretty spacious and it does have zipper pockets on the inside and it has 2 cup holders on the outside. If you don't use this as a diaper bag, you can just use this as a regular backpack. It's really cute and it's pretty compact, but it fits a lot. So I hope you guys enjoy this tutorial.
So for this project, it is a little unusual, but it's by the brand Libret, and it is cotton butcher's twine. So it doesn't have a weight to it. The reason why I chose this is because I really want a thicker, more durable yarn to use, and I wanted to have kind of a like macrame style to it. Hi Bijou. So I chose this. I did pick up 2 balls of this. It was about $6 from my local grocery store. You can use regular yarn if you want. Apparently it smells really good. You can use regular yarn if you want. If you want to use probably a weight 4 or 5 yarn. It seems like that's about the size that this is. And for reference, I am taking a 6mm crochet hook. So to get started for this project, I'm going to be making a slip knot and then doing a basic chain. So this is 28 chains long. This is going to be the bottom of the bag, and I'm going to be working up. This is going to be the front panel of the bag. So I am breaking up the front panel into 2 parts. I'm going to have a zipper pocket that I'm working on right now, and then we will continue the top of the bag that will slope inward. So this is going to be the zipper pocket. So I have 28 chains long. I'm just going to block that very last chain off with my finger, chain 1, and then place my hook through that chain that I just blocked off. Then I'm going to yarn over, pull through. I'll have 2 loops left on my hook, yarn over, pull through 2. That is a single crochet. So basically this entire crochet portion of the bag will be worked in single crochets. So I'm just going to go over to the next chain, placing 1 single crochet through that chain. Then I'm going to go back through every single chain in this row, placing 1 single crochet per chain until I reach the end of this row. Now that I'm at the end, I'm just going to chain 1. You're going to do this at the beginning of every row from now on. So just chain 1 and flip over your work. Then that very first chain that is connected to the chain 1, I'm going to be working through that. That is going to be the first chain of my row. Placing my hook through that, I'm just going to place 1 single crochet. And then, as usual, just go on to place 1 single crochet in each chain of this row. I'm just going to be repeating this process, so this is row 2. You're going to have a total of 12 rows. So just continue this until you have a total of 12 rows of basic single crochet. So I finished with this first panel, so I just cut and fastened it off. Then I'm going to basically get started with another top section for this. So I'm going to begin that section in the same exact way. I'm just going to begin with a slip knot and do a chain of 28. So now I have my chain of 28. I'm just going to basically do the same exact thing I just did. I'm going to block the last chain off with my finger, chain 1. Go through that chain I just blocked off, placing 1 single crochet through that chain. Then I'm going to be placing 1 single crochet in each chain on this row. So now I've made it to the end of the row of single crochet. I'm just going to chain 1, flip over my work, and begin on the next row. So this is going to be row 2 of single crochets, beginning my row on that very first chain that's connected to the chain 1. So for this portion of the front panel, you are going to be doing a total of 7 rows. So just going to do plain rows of single crochet, and you're going to do a total of 7. Then I'm going to begin decreasing on the sides to make the curved top. So just go ahead and complete 7 rows for now. So now I have about 7 rows completed. of my second front panel, I'm going to begin on the decreases. So I've already chained one, flip over my work. I'm just going to put my hook through that very first chain of the row, yarn over, pull through, and then just place my hook through that very next chain, yarn over, pull through. You'll have 3 loops left on your hook, just yarn over, pull through all 3, and that's going to decrease that first 2 chains together. Then you can just go about the row, placing 1 single crochet in each chain until you reach the second to last chain of the row, where I'm also going to be decreasing. So now I've made my way. I have 2 chains left on the end of the row there, so I'm just going to put my hook through the second to last chain, yarn over, pull through, put my hook through that very last chain. I'm going to yarn over, pull through, 3 left on the hook. So that is going to decrease that last 2 chains, and the first 2 chains are also decreased. So I'm just going to continue this. So I'm going to chain 1, flip over my work, decrease again in that first 2 chains of the very next row. So I decreased again, then I'm just going to place 1 single crochet in each chain until I reach the last 2 chains of the row, where I'm also going to decrease. Again, just going to decrease. And for the next 3 rows, you are going to continue this pattern of decreasing in the first 2 chains and the last 2 chains of each row. So now I've completed the additional 3 rows of decrease, and I'm actually going to be doing 2 more rows of decrease. I'm sorry, I'm making up this pattern as I go, so that's why I'm changing it. So now I've completed the additional 4 rows. So you will have the 3 rows of original decreases that I told you, and then an extra 4 rows of decreases. So from here I'm just going to, I cut my string and I'm just going to fasten that off. I could weave that in later. So now this is the entire front panel. I'm going to be sewing a zipper connecting these 2 together, but first I'm going to complete all of the other pieces of the bag. So this is going to be for the portion that is connecting the main body of the bag, the zipper, together. So we're going to be doing this in 2 parts. So I'm just going to make a slip knot, and I'm going to chain a total of 45. So now I have a chain of 45. I'm just going to be going back along that row, placing single crochets. So from the chain that I am in right now, I'm just going to go to the very next chain with my hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, that's a single crochet. So I'm just going to go back down this row, placing 1 single crochet in every chain, and then once I make it to the end, I'm going to chain 1, flip over the work, and I'm going to do an additional 3 rows. So I'm going to have 4 rows total. Then I'm going to fasten off, and then repeat this entire process 1 more time. So you're going to have 2 panels of a chain 45, 4 rows of single crochet each. So I just want to show that I made it to the end of the row, placing single crochets in every chain. So that is my last single crochet through that very first chain beneath. I'm just going to be chaining 1, turning over my work, and then that very first chain of the row that is connected to the chain 1, I'm going to be working through that chain so that my row ends up working straight. So this is going to be the beginning of the second row. I'm just going to be placing 1 single crochet in every chain and then repeating that. So I'm going to have a total of 4 rows. So I finished with the first section. It is 4 rows of single crochets. I just cut and fastened it off, and then I went ahead and made a second one. So these are identical. When you assemble the bag, the zipper for the main portion of the bag is going to be sewn in between these 2. So now I'm going to get started on the side panels. So if this was the side of the bag and the zipper was on, this is going to be the small panel that's going to be on the side right here. So I'm just going to make a slip knot, and I'm going to chain a total of 11. So basically you want the length of this to be about the width of the side portion of the bag. So that's going to be this size combined plus a little bit of extra space for the zipper. I am making this up as I go. So actually I'm going to do a row of 12. I'm just going to place my thumb on that very last chain, chain one more, then go into the chain that I blocked off with my hook. And I'm going to be placing my first single crochet through that chain. And then just go back through that row placing single crochets. So I've made it to the end of the row, and basically I'm just going to be repeating basic rows of single crochet. So at the end I'm just going to chain one, flip over my work, and I'm going to be placing my hook through that very first chain of the row that's attached to the chain one, placing my first single crochet, then just going back through the row placing one single crochet in each chain. Just repeat this until you get the length that you want for your side pocket. I'll let you know how many rows I end up doing for mine. So now I've finished with one of these side panels. I did a total of 12 rows, and then just go ahead and make a second one. So just make 2 identical side pockets. So now I have the 2 side panels, the bottom portion of the front panel, the top portion of the front panel, and the 2 sides that the zipper is going to connect to. So before I connect all these pieces, I'm going to cut out my pieces of fabric to be sewn onto these pieces. So for structure and durability, I'm not going to crochet this whole bag. I'm just going to be crocheting the front and the side portions. Bijou. So it is possible to do this as an entire crochet bag, but I am going to be placing fabric along the bottom and the back side just for more durability. So for the remaining outside exterior pieces of the bag, I have this really thick cotton polyester mix fabric. I got half a yard of this. It's more than enough. So I'm going to be using this for the bottom and the back piece of the bag. You could choose whatever fabric you want. If you want to do a linen, that would also be nice. I just want something with a little bit more structure so that the bag will hold. And then I also picked up this fabric. I also got half a yard of this. It's just really cheap, flimsy cotton fabric. So this is going to be the interior of the pockets and the interior of the bag. So I just want to show you guys how I'm cutting out the bottom, just in case your measurements end up not coming out to be exactly what mine are. So I'm just going to be basically measuring a piece that's for the bottom, that's going to be the width of the side panel and the length of the front panel. So my front panel measures a little bit more than 10.5 inches, almost 11 inches. I'm just gonna cut out 11.5 inches so I have space to sew. So I'm gonna be doing a length of 11.5 inches, and then I'm going to be however long this is. So this side panel is about 5 inches. So I'm going to be doing 5.5 by 11.5, and I'm just going to lightly line it with a washable marker and then cut out the bottom panel. So I just want to show you I did the same measuring method for the back panel of the bag. I just took my tape measure and just measured the tallest point of the bag from the top to the bottom. It ends up being about 11 inches. I did leave about a ½ inch of space for the zipper to go. It's okay if it's more or less than that, but ½ inch is perfectly fine. And then I just measured the width the same way. So my bag in total is 11 by 11 basically. So that's all I did, and then I also cut out the bottom panel as well, so it's pretty self-explanatory. So before I begin pinning and sewing everything together, I'm going to take my interior fabric, and this is the back panel. I'm going to be cutting out these off of the interior fabric, so just going to be measuring this up, marking it with a marker, and cutting out. So the zippers that I got for this project, unfortunately my craft store did not have the same color fabric material around the zipper
that I'm using for my project, but I just got this heavy jacket 18-inch zipper. And then also for the inside, I want to create another pocket on the inside of the bag. So I just got this 9-inch polyester all-purpose zipper as well. So I just want to quickly go over, these items are optional, but I just picked them up because I want my bag to be a little bit more on the professional side. So I got these adjustable slide buckles for my straps. If you want to crochet straps and just have it be one size, that's totally fine. I'm gonna have an adjustable backpack strap on my bag, so I picked these up. This is the only color they had. It's like kind of like a off brassy color, but I'm just gonna make do with that. And then I also have rectangle rings for these straps as well. I picked up a little bit of elastic because I'm gonna make the pockets on the side of the bag have a little bit of a stretch to them, so I have elastic for that. And then in the ribbon section, I got this cut. They sell this by yards, so I just got 2.5 yards of this like thick cotton strap. So this is what I'm going to use for the backpack straps. You can crochet it, but I'm just going to use this so it's a little bit more sturdy. So now the last two cutout pieces that I'm going to be doing for the bag, these are going to be the exterior of the pocket. So I'm taking the fabric that I'm using for the bottom and the back of the bag, and I'm going to cut out squares that fit these sizes, and this is what's going to be on the inside of these pockets by just lining it up against the fabric. Just make it easy on me. So now I have the two squares for the pocket. So to begin attaching the zipper onto the front panel, I'm just going to take the top and the bottom and align. So I'm just going to be picking what side I want to be the front and the back. So I want these to be in the front. I'm going to be taking my zipper and I'm just going to be aligning it with the zipper front side up. I'm going to be placing my piece on top of it. I'm going to want the zipper to go in a little bit from the edge because I am going to be sewing along this side. So you're going to want a little bit of space along the edge. So start pinning down from the zipper side and just align up your two pieces so that they match on the end that you're starting from. I'm just going to take my pins and begin pinning that down. So now I have the zipper all pinned down. You can choose to hand sew this if you want, but I'm just going to run it through my sewing machine and sew both sides straight across. So now I have the zipper sewn down. I did just go over it with my sewing machine twice on each side just so that it doesn't pull too much on the crochet. So this is too long, so I'm just going to cut off this excess right here. Right now I'm just going to go ahead. I already pinned the zipper down to the main portion of the bag. This is the main zipper. So I'm just going to go ahead and sew this one down the same way. So now I have the main pocket zipper sewn down as well. I'm just going to begin pinning everything together and sewing it. So I'm going to take the bottom portion of the bag and the two side portions of the bag. So just keep in mind the side portion, you're going to be sewing it together with the back portion attached to the front. So the crochet piece is going to be in the front, but there is going to be a pocket that will have this fabric in it as well. So what I'm going to do is just begin pinning everything together. This is the front of the bag, so I'm just going to flip that facing the front of the bottom, and I'm just going to pin that down along the bottom first. So now I have that pinned, I'm just going to pin the sides. So before I pin the sides down, I'm just going to pick what side is going to be the top and what side is going to be the bottom. So I'm going to want this to be the top.
So I have it all pinned inside out. I have the back and the sides pinned first. I'm just gonna go ahead and sew this down. Then I'm gonna pin along the back portion. So now I'm just pinning the main zipper portion onto the front. I'm making sure the zipper is facing the inside and I'm pinning it together, not to the side crochet flap, but to the fabric flap behind it. This kind of looks like a mess on camera. I hope you guys can understand. So I just flipped it like this and I pinned it along the side. So when it flips out, the zipper will be on the front and the crochet pocket is going to be open so that you could put drinks on the side. So I'm just gonna go ahead and pin down both sides first. So I have all sides pinned down, and then I can align it to the top of the bag and pin it from the inside as well. So I'm just gonna go one pin on one side and then one pin on the other side, just to make sure that I'm doing it evenly. So now I basically have everything pinned down except the back flap. So I'm just gonna go ahead and begin sewing all of these pins down together, and I will come back once I'm finished. So this is what I have so far once I've sewn all of those pieces together. The inside's gonna look like a mess, but that's totally fine. So now all I'm gonna do is sew the back piece of fabric onto the bag. While I'm doing this, I am gonna attach a few things. I'm just gonna go ahead and flip this back over to inside out, and I'm gonna line up the back piece so the exterior fabric is gonna be facing the inside. So while I'm lining up this back piece, I am going to be taking 3 strips off of my strap material. So I have 2 smaller strips and then a slightly larger strip. So this larger strip I'm going to be attaching along the top of the bag, so it's going to be facing the inside. It's going to be a little handle. I'm just going to pin that to the top, so I'm going to have a handle that's going to be sticking out of the bag. I'm just going to roughly pin it right now and then make sure everything is lined up once it is all pinned together properly. And then along the bottom of the bag, I'm going to have 2 small loops that I'm going to attach my strap to. So I'm going to take those 2 little rings that I had purchased, and I'm just going to thread them through these little pieces of fabric. And then I'm going to place these on the inside, so I'm going to be sewing the edging along the outside. So I'm just going to place them evenly apart along the bottom. So then once I have that, I'm just going to go along the outside and make sure everything is evenly spaced out and pinned along the back, and then I'm going to go ahead and sew that all together. So now I just have everything pinned down. I'm just going to run it through my sewing machine. These thicker parts I am going to have to sew by hand, but everything else I'm just going to run through my sewing machine real fast, and then yeah, I'll be back. So I finished sewing the back on completely. I'm just going to flip that inside out. Just make sure that all of the edges are completely sewn down so that you don't have any tears. Sewing through crochet is a little bit tricky sometimes. You want to make sure that you get it all the way sewn down so that it's sturdy. But yeah, everything looks good, so I'm just going to go ahead and get started on the lining. So I have all of the pieces for my interior. I have a rectangle piece that roughly measures from the corner of the bag, the bottom, and the other corner. So for my bag, that is about 20 inches long, and it's going to be about 5.5 inches wide. So that is this. Then I have pieces of fabric that are measured from the size of the back piece. So I have a total of 4 of those. So to get started, I'm going to be putting in the zipper for the inside pocket. So I'm just going to take 1 of the 4 and put the other 3 aside. I'm going to be taking a 9-inch zipper. This is just a plain beige zipper, and I'm going to be sewing it along the top of this piece of fabric. So you're going to want to align where you want your zipper to be. You can totally skip this step if you don't want an interior zipper for your bag. I'm making a diaper bag, so I want the most amount of pockets that I can, but this is totally optional. So I'm just going to be pinning this down where I want my zipper to be. Just going to be marking, and then I'm going to cut a small space big enough for the zipper to go. So roughly about there. I'm just going to fold this fabric. Just going to make small vertical cuts where I want the front and the beginning and the end of the zipper to be. Then I'm just going to cut straight across to meet the two together. Then I'm just going to be pinning my zipper into the slot that I just cut. So now I have the zipper pinned in place. I'm just going to go ahead and run these lines through my sewing machine. Now I've finished sewing that through my sewing machine, and then I did just sew 2 little slits along both ends just so that it holds the zipper together front and back. So this is going to be the interior pocket facing the front. I'm just going to take one of the other panels that I have cut out, and I'm going to put it behind that. So this is going to make the pocket in the back of the bag, and then I'm going to have 2 in the front. So then I'm just going to take that long piece of fabric and line it up, and I'm going to pin this all together. So I have 2 pieces pinned to the bottom portion, and then I'm going to have these 2 pieces pinned to the back. So then I will have those all pinned together. I'm just going to bring up the sides and pin that to the side of the interior fabric as well. So now I have all of these sides pinned together, so all of the edging is along the outside. I'm just going to go ahead and sew along all of these lines with my sewing machine, and then I will come back when I'm finished. So I have all of the edges sewn on this. The only thing left to do is, just to make it easier when you're going to insert this into your bag, you're going to need to sew this along the inside of the bag, and it's going to be a little bit difficult, and I want this to have a clean edge to it. So I'm just going to go ahead and take some of this, it's bias tape single fold. I'm just going to place an edging along all of the corners, going around the sides and up the other side and all the way around. So I'm going to have an edging along the interior fabric already before I put it in, and then I'm just going to hand sew the edging to the inside of the bag. It'll be easy that way, and it'll look a little bit better. If you want to skip this step, you can, you totally can, and you can just go ahead and sew this in as is, but it'll just have this raw edging along the inside, which I want to avoid, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that. If you don't have any single fold tape, you can just cut off pieces of fabric and fold it over and sew it on that way. This just makes my life easier, that's why I got it. So yeah, this step is optional, but it makes the bag a little bit more professional. So I'm just going to begin by pinning this down all the way around the bag. So now I have all the edges pinned down. I'm just gonna run that through my sewing machine. So now I have all the edging sewn on and it's all finished off. So this is ready to go into the bag, but before I do that, I'm just gonna sew on these straps to the outside of the bag first. So I'm just going to take my 2 straps that I'm using. So both of my straps are about 36 inches long. It could be shorter or longer depending on what you like and what you prefer. I also have like a 3 to 4 inch piece of the same fabric, and this is going to be sewn directly on the bag to hide the strap handle. First, I'm going to be taking my adjustable slide buckles. This is just so that I can adjust the bag. If you want to measure your strap to be your exact like length that you want, so you don't need to adjust it, you can also do that. This is just an extra step. So to get started, I am just going to be taking the adjustable strap, looping my strap through the center and pulling it out. So then I'm gonna have a little fold over. I'm gonna sew that with my sewing machine so that it stays shut. So I sewed this flap down onto the center ring of this buckle. So now I'm just going to be looping the bottom part of the strap onto one of the rings at the bottom of the backpack. And then I'm going to loop it up through the bottom of the buckle and then go through the front side of the buckle. And then you have your adjustable strap attached to the bottom part. So for the top, I'm just going to be taking that little piece that I cut out and I'm going to be placing it kind of towards the top. I'm going to feed the top of the strap behind it. I'm just going to take a pin that down, and then I'm going to sew it through my sewing machine. And I'm going to repeat this for the other side of the strap. So I ran that through my sewing machine and now these straps are all attached. So the only thing left to do is to sew the lining on the inside. So I'm just going to take my lining, I'm going to make sure that the zipper pocket is facing the back. Just going to stuff it in here. Then I'm probably just going to go around and hand sew this. So I'm going to just be hand sewing this seam line into the top of the bag, go all the way around. I'm going to sew this flat down against the inside of the zipper on the side. And then yeah, once I'm done doing this, I'm basically done with the bag. If you guys have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. This tutorial was a little bit more advanced as far as sewing goes, but not that hard to figure out. And it looks really cute. So yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead, sew the lining, and then I'm done. I will let you guys see the finished bag.